2003 Volkswagen Jetta TDI 1.9 liter diesel engine alternator replacement. Not even sure if this is going to make it on the channel. It's a very, very tight fit and cannot get very many good camera shots. Not going to take all this stuff out of the way for camera shots, but one of 3 bolts for the tensioner assembly. I'm just trying to show you one shot right here. I think you get to 2 of them. The 13mm socket and a swivel and extension. They're not that on there that tight. And you can get 2 up from up above here and maybe 1 from down below. That's most of the way out, and then we can get this tensioner out of here, maybe from above, or it might drop down from below. So here's a clip that you need to pull out of this. It sits on here, right up here. So you pull the clip off the back side, and this will slide off here, and then you just have a clamp here. Fits on there. Just pop this off, and then you have this unit here, which has got 2 friction fitting devices right here. Just kind of pull them down. This slides on right here, right there. That slides on the front. Right here, that's where it slides on, and then you can see the stud right there. And the stud right there that fits on, and you just pull it down and it comes off. You may want to take the tire off. I did not. You can put your screwdriver right in this notch. Pull the center cover off. Of course, you can see these are aftermarket, so it could be different for you. 17 or 19mm lug nuts or bolts. Break them loose on the ground, jack up your car, and use safety devices, stands, jack stands, and make sure your car doesn't fall down on you. We don't want that. And then you can get in here, and then AC, 2 bolts only holding it together. They just go right through here, and they're right up here, and they are 16mm bolts. And then you'll need to pry it down with a pry bar or screwdriver. It's got these friction fits that slide back and forth. You might want to tap these that way to reinstall it a little easier. Disconnected the connector right here. I got it with the screwdriver inside here and pried the little terminal off. Got that off there. We'll get some space. You can see the damage. And then last, here's the, not last, but 3 bolts. Guess we could maybe get to all of them from up above. But I got this one down below. 13mm bolts, all of them. And like I said, I was using a 1/4-inch ratchet and socket and swivel to get to these. So this is now out. And down through the bottom it came out. Oh, I suppose you got to take your belt off. Mine fell off because there's no alternator pulley. Gonna go with a 16mm, and then you probably want to go clockwise this way and it'll compress the shock. Also looks like a trick here. At some point, if you want, there's a hole right here and a hole there. I think that maybe you can compress it and put a pin in there and it'll hold it in place. It may help for reinstallation. Maybe a drill bit. So I hope that'll help you. I'll probably put this in a vise and maybe do that, lock it in place. So now we've got some space to get our two 13mm bolts there for the alternator. Bolts are lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So we'll get those two 13mm bolts out of the alternator. I need to disconnect that wiring harness connector right there, probably a 10mm bolt. And we've got our battery connection on the alternator and the other plug-in. I'm going to try and leave those on until I get this in a little better spot. For sure the top connector. Also, you do need to disconnect the battery for safely removing this connector, battery connector. However, if you have a factory radio, you need to make sure you know where the radio code is so you can reprogram or get your radio back to functioning after you disconnect the battery. Because if you disconnect the battery without the codes, then your factory radio will not work until you get the code. It's usually in your owner's manual somewhere on a separate piece of paper, I believe. So, at some point you should disconnect the battery before you take this connector off. So we're going to take that connector off and see about getting this alternator out. We're going to try and pry it out. I think it's also got some friction fits, just like the AC. We're going to try and pry it out to the front a little bit. Got the two bolts out, and we're prying right here. Right in here where we're prying, and it is a friction fit like the AC, like we talked about. So I'm trying to wiggle it loose. There we go. I think it's kind of sort of mostly loose. Next, we're actually going to move on to try to get the cooling fan assembly out, and we're going to try and bring it through here, I believe. So this is the connector for the electric cooling fan on the passenger side. This is what you have to squeeze to disconnect it right here. This slides out of a slot. You can see how it's grooved. Slides out of a slot over here. Again, this is all kind of tough to see. But over there, there's a slot and the connector, so we got it out of there. And then it fits in these holes too, slots, so we pulled it out. And I think that we're gonna hopefully just take this one out, and it's got 3 Torx bits. There's one there, one over here. I'll let you know what that Torx bit is. For the cooling fan, it is a T30 Torx bit. It's a T25 Torx bit. I didn't mention the shield yet, but there's the shield right down on the ground. Sits on the front. Mini bolts for that, T25, and that comes down, gives you more space. So we got the fan out through the bottom. Not too bad. Like I said, just 3 little bolts, Torx bolts. I've got a pretty good space here, and I think we'll be able to get the alternator out right through here. So we'll give it a shot. I got to disconnect my 2 connectors. Now, if you choose to take that nut off and take the battery connection off without disconnecting the battery, just make sure your wrench does not touch any ground, any metal, and it'll be okay. The nut off, and what you probably do is pull that off and wrap it with electrical tape, or you got a glove or something like that, a rubber glove. Just wrap that up with something, and you should probably be okay. but best is to disconnect the battery, negative cable. Right now I've rotated it, well you can see it, I've rotated it so I can get to that connector. I think theoretically you're supposed to be able to push to the right on the little tab on the right hand side, but I haven't had the best luck. I might go in from the left-hand side. I can get in there and get a screwdriver in there. Stupid light. Right in here. Try and get in there, and then I can pull it off maybe. There we go. I'm not a fan of these connectors. So we got the harness out of the way. Try and drop that down. I guess I forgot to mention that there's a bracket right here that I took off. It's right up here, so I can push this hose out of the way. Sorry about that. Just used the pliers and got that off. There you go. It's off. See that connector's got a little raised section on it. You can see that. There's a tang inside. They have to release it. Here's the space that we maneuvered it through. There's the bracket. Right there, I popped out of there and then just tucked it up high.